Okay, it looks like we're live on the air, so welcome back, y'all. This is the Man in the Black Mask, and I'm having a good time sharing with you these Derek Chauvin stories related to the verdict and everything else. So, yeah, Derek Chauvin held in prison security housing unit ahead of sentencing, and they shouldn't have him in general population, okay? And what's odd enough is that, they're doing his isolation Jim Crow style. They're saying that only white guards can guard him because they don't want no colored guards, guarding the unit where Chauvin is housed to avoid a conflict of interest. And I'm sure that awaits him once you get to the big house. And trust me, there will be some black guards or inmates that can't wait to get their hands on that piece of shit. And I'm sure the prison will do everything to keep his ass alive in time for sentencing. So I'm going to share the CNN article with you. Okay? Derek Chauvin is in a prison segregated housing unit for his safety while he awaits sentencing. See that, man? Look at this motherfucker. He looks like Ace Ventura on wax. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was put into a prison's segregated housing unit for his own safety, a prison spokesperson said, after Chauvin was found guilty of the murder of George Floyd on Tuesday. Here's what's next for Chauvin after his conviction. I just showed you the mugshots earlier. Like I said, Ace Ventura. Chauvin will be sentenced in about 8 weeks, around June. So around the second week of June, Judge Peter Cahill said Tuesday, with a precise date to be announced. But right now, all we know is June. We don't know nothing else in particular. Remember, it's too early. Although Chauvin had been out on bail since October, Cahill revoked Chauvin's bail after the verdict, which is common for, cops convicted of very serious offenses. Chauvin will now await sentencing while behind bars. Now, let me stop right there, okay? If this was New York, right? Had this happened in New York, he would have either been to Rikers Island or the Tombs. But most likely he would have wound up in the Tombs, which is also known as the Manhattan Detention Complex. A lot of federal inmates and high profile inmates are housed in that unit, the Tombs. So those too high risk to be at even Rikers. That not even protective custody can help people like them. Okay? Now backtrack to Chauvin. He is being held in a segregated unit. Chauvin on Tuesday was taken to a state prison, the Minnesota Correctional Facility, Oak Park Heights, to await sentencing, Department of Corrections spokesperson Sarah Fitzgerald said. Sighs of relief at the Chauvin guilty verdict, but activists say the work on racial justice is far from over. As I stated at my last video, saying the fight has actually just begun. This is not the end, but this is the beginning. The correctional facility is in Stillwater, about 25 miles east of downtown Minneapolis. Wow. There he was put in an administrative control unit, ACU, a housing unit that is separated from the general population, Fitzgerald said. Now, administrative segregation is for high-risk inmates, particularly those who are mentally ill or addicted to drugs, those facing very serious charges, or whose crimes have made the news. So naturally, those people never qualify for general population, but they do qualify for administrative segregation. Even that comes with challenges, being isolated from the general public, Like, quote unquote, he is on administrative segregation status for his own safety. Fitzgerald wrote to CNN in an email. Administrative segregation is used when someone's presence in the general population is a safety concern. And I just stated above, so the rest is history. He is at the prison through an agreement between the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office and the Minnesota Department of Corrections, Fitzgerald told CNN. The judge will consider those factors. That we no doubt know. Chauvin's sentence will depend on several factors, including the state's sentencing guidelines, and whether the judge decides to go beyond the guidelines because of certain circumstances, including but not limited to him having no criminal record prior to this Floyd murder. I'm sure the judge is going to consider that too. But I still want the book thrown at him, of course, because he murdered an innocent man, and therefore he ruined his own life because he wanted to be a tough guy, of course. technically, Chauvin could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, up to 25 years for third-degree murder, and up to 10 years for manslaughter. Now, if you add all that shit up, right, that would amount to 75 years. 75 years. You know what I'm saying? Now, who survived 75 years in prison? Now, he's about 45 right now, right? So 45 plus 75 is like, god damn, 125. Yes, 125. I mean, who lives that long? I mean, come on. So this will be about, 21,002. No, 2102, sorry. Of which he'll be 125. No, 2101, sorry. 2101. Because he was born in 76. So, yeah, that is 75 years. Of which he will be 125 years old, man. Now, he'll be dead by then. But of course, he would have been in prison longer than Bernard Madoff, of course, but he's dead. But I'm sure the judge ain't going to give him those 75 years. But I sure hope he don't get less time. Okay? He needs to get at least 25 years. The same sentence as Justin Volpe. He got 28 years for torturing Abner Volina. Now, make no mistake about it, okay? Justice will serve. Okay, we all want the judge to throw the book at this fucking son of a bitch. Killing a black innocent man in front of two innocent children. Come on now. Fuck out. However, Chauvin has no prior criminal record. The state guidelines say that for such a person, the presumptive sentence for both second and third degree murder combined is 12 and a half years. The judge is given discretion to hand down a sentence between 10 years and 8 months and 15 years for each. Now, I'm really hoping that if he gets less time, it's 25 years. 25. But he got to do some time whether he likes it or not. You can't go around killing innocent people and expect to get away with it. Maybe 40 years is too draconian, but at the same time, he got to rot in jail. He got to do some hard time whether he likes it or not. Second-degree manslaughter carries a presumptive sentence of 4 years for someone with no record, according to the guidelines. The judge's discretion ranges from 3 years and 5 months to 4 years and 8 months. Now, a lot of people equate manslaughter to misdemeanor murder, of course, since it don't carry a lot of time. But he was convicted of the 2 top felonies, so he's going to get a double-digit sentence, no doubt. However, prosecutors are asking for a tougher sentence than the recommendations provide. In 2 filings last year, prosecutors said 5 aggravating factors warrant an increased sentence, of course. Those factors include that Floyd was particularly vulnerable and that he was treated with particular cruelty, of course, and that children were present when the crimes were committed. He thought nobody was watching, but somebody did. That 9-year-old girl and her 17-year-old cousin, who was accompanying that girl. And they both gave brave testimonies, although their descriptions were bizarre, but were nevertheless believable. And the jury saw it in their eyes. This looks as if the whole fucking jury was actually at the murder scene that day. They didn't have to be. All they had to do was hear the testimony and use their eyes and their common sense. Go where it takes them, and they did. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Guilty as sin. If the judge applies aggravating factors, it would shift Chauvin's sentence to a higher part of the legal range. Yeah, double digits, meaning he can get either 25 or 40 years. But if he gets less time, I'm praying for the 2-5. I'm praying that he gets the quarter. He needs to do the quarter. And not a quarter, a dime, and a nickel. I mean, come on. The sentences for all 3 crimes will likely be served at the same time, not consecutively. Generally, when an offender is convicted of multiple current offenses, concurrent sentencing is presumptive, according to guidelines. Now, if the judge asks for consecutive, like I said, 75 years, he would have had to remain in custody until 2101, when he'll be 125 years old. Then at which point he'll be in the graveyard by then. Even Bernard Madoff couldn't survive that long. Come the fuck on. What about the other officers charged? Yeah, there was little talk about them. They were complicit in this. And let me tell you something else. If those other cops had to take plea deals, they would have had to testify against Mr. Chauvin. At which point the trial would have ended much sooner. Think about it. The three other officers facing charges in Floyd's death are expected to be tried together in August. So I'm glad this chapter's closed. So now we got three other chapters to write. But this book is far from finished, okay? In fact, the book is just the beginning, okay? But I'm glad we're all the way through chapter one. Well, we just got to get through the sentencing in order to be finished with chapter one. But we're still on chapter one, but it's half over. Make no mistake about it. Chow Thao, Thomas Lane, and J. Alexander Kung are all charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Now, aiding and abetting is equivalent to conspiracy, of course. So this tells you right there that all the cops were complicit in Mr. Floyd's murder. So they too were no innocent bystanders. They may have acted innocent, but they weren't innocent. You know why they weren't innocent? Because they were at the scene of the crime and they failed to stop Chauvin from killing Floyd. That's why they were charged with aiding and abetting. Now, I'm not, a law expert, but you know what I'm saying? In my book, you're guilty if you're present during a crime and you fail to stop that person from doing whatever it was that he was trying to do. You know? Since you failed to stop the crime, you're guilty of that offense. That's all I gotta say. But I'm not no law expert. I'm just telling you from my vantage point, okay? Now, I saw Rodney King's daughter on TV on Good Morning America. She was 7 years old when Rodney King was beaten on national TV. This was before viral, way before the internet, way before you had, sites like Facebook and YouTube and World Star, the whole 9 yards. But this was just viral video. And guess what? Every one of those motherfuckers was acquitted. There was not one single fucking conviction on their part. Just an acquittal. Nothing else. I mean, you had everything on tape. You had the fucking evidence pictured in front of you. Why couldn't you go where it took you? Why didn't you just convict them on sight? Just like you did with Derek Chauvin. I mean, dude, that was a different fucking story right there. I mean, come on. Jesus Christ. I think all those jurors was dickheads. Deciding to just walk those officers. I bet you even if they killed him, they wouldn't have got convicted. It was a different time then, let me tell you. But somebody got lazy and wouldn't tell the truth. Meanwhile, George Floyd's daughter was 7 years old at the time her father was killed. And this is like a life-changing moment in history. Okay, I'm glad our voices is getting heard. You know what I'm saying? And, I was pissed when Adam Toledo was shot. He was 13. He had his fucking hands up and yet this motherfucker shot him in the heart and killed him. And now I heard this 15, 16-year-old girl got killed in Ohio, waving a knife at another kid during a fight. What if she was trying to defend herself? What if she didn't hear the call? I know everybody's going to jump the gun in this case. I know that. But like I said, Chauvin, a whole bunch of shit awaits him while he goes up in that, D block unit or level 3 prison yard, wherever the fuck they're going to put him. Like I said, man, they're going to do everything they can to Jim Crow his ass, to keep him alive, to make sure only the white guards can protect him and nothing of color, nobody of color, okay? They want to do everything in their power to keep his ass alive throughout his sentence. You know that, and I know that. Because there's going to be a lot of black guards and a lot of black inmates that are going to want to kill his ass as soon as they get their hands on him. And there's no way they're going to let that shit happen to him. They're not going to risk getting sued, letting something happen to a piece of shit inmate that, nobody likes. I mean, come on, get the fuck out of here. Really? The prison system is just as smart as we are. Now, a lot of you wish that Chauvin got first-degree murder. I know I did. Because this was premeditated. He just had his knee on his fucking neck. And the EMTs at one point had to shove him off of Floyd. Yet these other motherfuckers, these cops, they did nothing to help Chauvin or Floyd. They just watched the whole shit happen. They just watched Floyd get murdered. So that's why they were charged with aiding and abetting. And, two of those motherfuckers was color, too. Two of them was Asian. You know what I'm saying? Two are white, the others are Asian. That don't make no fucking sense. I mean, really? I mean, I find it all this bizarre, to be precise with you. Okay, but I'm glad we're getting some justice because, like y'all, I couldn't believe what just happened. Even when they found the son of a bitch guilty, I still couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe one bit. It happened so fast. I was in shock and awe. I didn't think it would happen so fast. And I did remember the Derek Chauvin case when he raped all those black women. Saying he was Asian, an Asian cop turning on colored girls and women. I know a lot of you are going to be talking about that too, because there's a lot of racist cops out there. And I also saw Eric Gardner's mother on TV, and she had a few choice words about the Floyd verdict and everything else. And I'm glad she spoke, though. That's the thing. And thank God for Black Lives Matter. That's another reason why I signed up for this channel, to give voice and shed light on Black Lives Matter, to shine a spotlight to some of our issues that's going on today. Do you roger that? Good. So, on that note, I'm going to sign out. If I have another article, I'll bring it out tonight. Otherwise, I'll see you another time. And thank you for supporting the man in the black mask. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And drop a question underneath the screen and tell me what you think about what awaits Chauvin while he awaits sentencing behind bars. Because a whole bunch of shit awaits him, and a lot of it he ain't going to like. Okay? That's why I tell you, don't go to prison. Because it could be your last day on earth. Any day, any minute, second, or hour you spend in that cell could be your last. Remember the man in the black mask said that. Again, like, subscribe, question on your screen. If you have any other articles, get out tonight. Otherwise, see you another time. Until then, thank you for your service. Thank you for supporting the man in the black mask.